A lot of times people give a camper a name. If this one's name isn't Bertha, I'll be surprised. That's a Bertha if ever there was one. But here's the thing, guys. This is a textbook example of don't judge a book by its cover. Because the folks that own this right before you just spent pretty close to about $16,000 performing some pretty extensive updates, safety checks, revisions, etc. This is a sleeper, you know. This is a ringer. You look at it and you don't think much, but you realize what you're getting here. It's actually pretty impressive. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it's a cream puff. I'm not trying to say it's a spring chicken. What I'm saying is, when you hear 93.4 winds, you have a different picture in your mind. This thing is far better than what I ever imagined with all of my experience doing this here. So, you know, why do I say that? What drew me to that conclusion? Well, they went through, they replaced all the flooring. They put some of that kind of like click plank laminate type stuff down, it looks like. And frankly, it looks pretty sharp. It brightened it up in here. Now you've got all original upholstery and whatnot, but you've got new flooring. You've got, pardon me, a lot of these pleated shades. I noticed that all of them in the bedroom, the anchors have been busted off and need restrung, but I think a lot of times people in the bedroom tend to leave those closed anyway. So, I don't know, I guess no harm, no foul kind of thing. Like, I'm not seeing huge signatures of, like, water leaks and whatnot. In the bedroom, I have suspicion there's an area where it may have had one in the past, but I don't see anything that concerns me right now. We'll get up to that gaping hole in the dashboard in just a second, but as we're getting there, the sofa can fold down to an extra sleeper. And what's nice about motorhomes, especially classic no-slide ones like this, is they had to be made pretty travel-friendly because there were no slides. So they had to really, you know, balance that destination versus traveling friendliness. Now, there used to be an old TV on here, the kind of TV that maybe you'd hook a Pong console up to and, you know, play some Atari games, but it's gone. And frankly, I don't think anyone is, you know, disappointed to see it go. I think you're expecting to see some kind of screen here, but at the same time, the kind of TVs people look for nowadays, you'd be hard pressed to put a little 19-inch widescreen down in that area. So, is it pretty? That you can see some wires that the TV used to hide? No. This whole coach ain't pretty. You're not buying this because it's pretty. You're buying it because it's cheap and it works. Does that sound about right? I know that's the reason I'd buy it. Well, you notice they put a Blu-ray player down there? They actually did a nice job of wiring up a color rear view monitor that this coach did not used to have. You used to have a spotter and you used to have to bump into things to know when you were there. Well, now you don't have to. So, I mentioned that the folks also spent a bunch of money on this thing. They put 2 new tires on the front. They had the entire like chassis drivetrain whole thing inspected, updated, repaired, serviced as needed. This has a brand new generator. They spent thousands of dollars on a generator that I'm not sure they ever really used. Because the plan was, they just bought this thing, he took it to a garage, dropped it off, said, man, fix her up. Make this thing work like just the way a top spins. I want this thing in good working order. And then they very quickly realized after they collected it, that the motorhome lifestyle was not going to be their thing. They were going to drive to Florida, they were going to build some memories, and they very quickly realized that would leave them too restricted in terms of being able to navigate the local area once they got to their destination, which is an oversight that a lot of folks tend to make the first time they buy an RV. This was the previous owner's first RV. Well, they came in, they swapped her out for a truck and trailer package job, and off they go to Florida. So, somebody bought this thing, and if we're being frank, unintentionally, with the original intentions, brand new refrigerator too, that's right. I don't want to forget that because the refrigerator inserts you see don't match. So brand new generator, new fridge, new front tires, new coach batteries, or chassis batteries, which ones? Some new batteries in the mix, I'd have to double check my notes. But the fact is, I mean, they spent a ton of money on this thing. Probably more than what the RV's worth, frankly. But, you folks, the new owners, frankly, you're just going to benefit from it, you know? Maybe kind of awkward, kind of cringeworthy, but also very true. Traditional walk-through middle bathroom, nothing flashy, nothing fancy. I don't think flashy and fancy were ever in question on this RV right here. But, hey, effective. And you know what? Effective and priced right, that's good enough for me. I am very much a function over fashion kind of fella. Now, this is just old school, baby. You have got a pair of classic twin beds with central dresser closet storage and additional dresser closet storage in either the overhead cabinet space, or you can see the second closet dresser over here on the right hand side when you walk in, with a little foot and bedside stand, I guess you could say, down here with the handy TV shelf above. So if you feel like it, you could find a way to, flip those curtains up a little bit and get some cross breeze and views back here, but I don't think most people are going to. I think most people are going to use it just how it is. So that's the rub on this one. It ain't pretty, but as far as I'm able to determine, and with all the information that's been presented to me before I made this video, she's in good working order. And that's pretty cool on a 93, because that's always the biggest question people have on a 1993, does stuff work? As far as I know, it does. Now, I don't expect you to take my word for it. Frankly, I expect you not to take my word for it, because the average salesperson in this business just lies through their teeth. I'd like to think that I'm not one of them. That's why I put these videos out, because I've spent a bunch of time telling you just as much about what's not cool about this camper as what is cool with it. But I don't expect you to take my word for it. So, how do you know? Well, before you take it home, we'll pull it up to the building, plug her on in, let you see everything for your own eyes before you hand over those hard-earned American greenbacks. Sounds fair to me. Normally I'd share some of that nice chassis generator information outside, but just due to weather conditions, I'm sure you won't blame me for wanting to spend as little time out here as possible. Don't get me wrong, I'll do what I need to. But I think most of the story of this one is what you find on the interior, and this is more of a driving is believing or seeing is believing kind of situation. Another classic feature you don't often find much anymore is that driver's area sort of, jump seat, direct entry door right here. You just don't see a lot of that anymore. Kind of handy when you are at a filling station, but the previous owners, the fella, I kind of asked him, did you like using that? He laughed at me. He goes, "Son, I don't know if you noticed my age, but I'm past the point of climbing up and down those things. I go in and out the main door like anybody else." Speaking of which, I noticed the power entry step is still working like a champ, so that's cool. Again, the front tires have been replaced. Actually, now that I say that, I haven't physically eyeballed the rear tires. Let me stomp through Mount Snowmageddon over here and take a look at this thing. Well, hey, no dry rotting, no weather checking. Actually, those tires look like they've been replaced fairly recently, so that's good news. Cool. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff going on the skin. It needs a cleaning. I mean, but frankly, if I bought any used RV, the first thing I would ever do is clean that thing top to bottom, inside and out. I would just, I don't know. I'm not a germaphobe, but I've seen enough that I would always want something clean a little bit. Spare tire on the back here. This matches the rear tires. That looks like this similarly has not really been used or seen the light of day. Got our towing hitch on the back. Go ahead, ask me what the tow capacity is in this whole thing. I don't have a clue. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to try to make something up. I don't have a clue. This old thing, all I would say is don't put anything big behind it. That's my best suggestion. If that ain't fair and honest, I don't know what is. I don't want to get somebody hurt, and I'm not going to make something up. Now, I noticed in the bedroom, crap, I meant to show you that inside, sorry. There was a little crack on the wallpaper inside, and I just discovered why. It looks like they backed into something, one of the previous owners, I don't know who, because this doesn't look recent, and this is called the stanchion, punched, or the foot, the leg, whatever you want to call it, punched through the fiberglass a little bit, so it looks like it was repaired from the outside in, and actually, they did a good job. It's pretty darn sturdy and pretty darn functional, just how it is. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty? No. The worst I've ever seen? Heck no. Has some good points? Heck yes. And hey, I think for the right money, this would, let's see, who would want to buy something like this? In my mind, how do I picture this being used? I think that if you're like a NASCAR enthusiast or a horse trailer event enthusiast, you could put a small horse trailer behind this, or you could frankly just drive this to the NASCAR infield. You and your buddies could sit on a chair on top of it if that's your thing and just have a good old time. That being said, please, please, please be careful, be responsible. I never recommend using an RV that way, but I'm also realistic and I know how these things are used. So, I mean, I could see some very casual uses. This thing will work great. And I mean, frankly, for the money, guys, you can just run it till it dies. And you're not going to get hurt doing it. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.